Welcome to the geopolitical madhouse, where peace talks are PR stunts, tanks are junkyard decor, and handshakes feel like hostage crisis. Trump and Putin want peace? Cute. Zelensky is not blinking. Finland is funding war with frozen Russian cash. Germany is sending tanks that break down faster than their trains. And Erdogan? He is out here gripping Macron's finger like it is a Turkish delight. All of this in this episode of Global News Factory, and I'm your host, Vikrant Thardak. Let's start with Russia Ukraine peace talks. Yes, there is some movement finally. Trump and Putin had a phone call on Monday. Both agreed that peace talks between Russia and Ukraine need to begin immediately. That's a good start, sure, but here is the issue. Zelensky has not said a word about making the kind of compromises that are actually needed to end the war. After the call, Putin said he is on board. He wants Ukraine and Russia to work on a memorandum, a basic outline for a future peace deal. Sounds mature, right? And then he added the key line. Both Moscow and Kyiv should show maximum desire for peace and find compromises that satisfy all parties. Now, here is the big question. What compromise is Putin asking for? Well, as per reports from the recent Istanbul talks, Russia wants Ukraine to withdraw from four regions: Donetsk, Luhansk, Zaporizhia, and Kherson. Now, these are the Russian speaking regions Moscow has already legally annexed. But battles are still going on there. So Russia is saying, you must not keep fighting in land that is not yours anymore. Get out. Zelensky's response? It is our land. We won't withdraw. It is my duty. No ultimatums. No surrender. In February, he even said, I will make no compromise with killer Putin. Alright, Mr. Green T-shirt, here is a little advice for you. From someone you likely think has a low IQ passport. Dear Zelensky, the war has dragged on for over 3 years now. You have fought Russia with all the money and ammo the West could throw at you. Russia has lost soldiers, tanks, and billions in the process. And yet here they are, still standing strong, still firing, still not backing off. At this point, those four oblasts, Russia is not going to give them just like that. And let's be real, if you keep ignoring Putin, do not act surprised when Russian troops start knocking on Kyiv's door, because some reports are indicating so. But do not twist it. Russia never wanted Kyiv. Russia itself says that the war was about protecting the Russian-speaking population in eastern Ukraine. That is it, simple. But you, playing the hero, decided to drag this war out just to please your NATO sponsors. So here is the bottom line. Stop being the mascot for the West and sit down for peace, because this time the world is watching and nobody is buying your fairy tales anymore. And now next stop is Finland. While the grown-ups are talking about peace, Finland seems to be itching for more war. Just when everyone thought the EU was moving toward de-escalation, Finland comes dancing with a new deal. They are sending heavy ammunition to Ukraine, 90 million euro worth, funded by frozen Russian assets. A great day for Finnish arms manufacturers. They even said it openly, this deal will boost our defense industry. Well, of course it will. Nothing says economic growth like fueling a war, right? Let me be blunt. Peace in Ukraine is bad business for Europe's war factories. If the war ends, those weapons stockpiles become a liability. Worse, they could end up with black market thugs fueling crime against Russians, reigniting tensions and pulling the region back into chaos. But hey, who cares as long as Finland's factories keep humming? Because for some EU states, peace is the real threat. Peace means no more money for military-industrial complex. Peace means no more excuses for NATO expansion. Peace means Russia might stabilize and grow even more. And that, my friends, is a nightmare for Brussels. Alright, moving on. Let's talk about Germany's so-called pride, the Leopard 2A6 tanks. Russia has called them out, and this time they have done their homework. Rostec, Moscow's defense giant, released a review saying these tanks are built like IKEA wardrobes, cheap, fragile, and designed to fall apart. Now, as per Rostec, the Leopard's armor is weak and its systems are laughably outdated. In a real battlefield, it would not last 5 minutes against drones or modern anti-tank missiles. But guess what? Even German media backed this up in April. Kiev soldiers have been complaining that these tanks are too expensive to maintain and a nightmare to repair on the front lines. Why? Because Germany has not fought a real war in decades. They rely on the US for protection and now they are exporting glorified scrap metal to Ukraine, calling it aid. Let's be honest, Germany's defense industry is just experimenting at this point, using Ukraine as a live fire testing ground. They send fancy weapons, collect field data, and then sell improved versions to NATO clients. Meanwhile, Kyiv soldiers die using equipment that should have stayed in the lab. Maybe Ukraine should ask this question to Berlin. Are we your battlefield or your beta testers? And in the end, let's talk about His Royal Fingerness Recep Tayyip Erdogan, the Sultan of Slippery Handshakes, the Caliph of Cleany Grips, the undisputed middle finger champion of Eurasia. So, Macron walks up trying to be civil, basic handshake, a little nod, move on. But Erdogan, oh no, the man grabs Macron's hand like it is the last kebab at a buffet. And he loves to take the middle finger, it seems. He grabbed it, stroked it, and looked eager to lick it. Thank God Macron pulled his hands, realizing cameras were there. The whole thing felt like an overgrown toddler refusing to return a borrowed toy. It was an embarrassing act, but look who spun it as a diplomatic masterstroke. Turkish media. If grabbing someone's finger like a cleany toddler is a power move, then Erdogan is basically the geopolitical version of a kid throwing sand in a sandbox because he cannot win a game of chess. And let's be honest, it is not diplomacy, it is a shame when you have got an economy on life support, dissent rising at home, and your global clout fading faster than your hairline. All that is left is to grip a man's finger and hope it makes you look tough on TV. If that is the case, maybe Mr. Erdogan, you should start rehearsing playing with Putin's index finger and licking Trump's thumb. And before I sign off, I want to thank Diksha and the music for buying our membership. If you want to support and help us keep going, you can too become a member by clicking the join button if you have subscribed already. Again, thanks for staying with me. You're watching Global News Factory.